For 2 weeks in a row, the Saints have looked very good on first and second down, but on third down, not so much. And against the 49ers, those third down missteps really came back to haunt us. We're going to look at some film and break it all down. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. So before I jump into the game stats, two things real quick. One, next video, likely Wednesday or Thursday, will be a film breakdown on the offense. So if there's any plays that you want to watch, and give you a hint. The big ones I'll have, like the 3 touchdown passes, but anything else, drop them down in the comments. So I'll be looking through that, and especially ones that get a lot of thumbs up or a lot of support, we'll make sure they're in there. I just feel overall offense is going to be a lot more cheerful to do than the defense, especially getting off the field on third down for the defense. So let's get the bad news out the way first and cut that up today. Second thing is, a lot of this video work was actually, I wouldn't say work, but the groundwork was from yesterday, in the sense of, while we were watching the game in the stands, I don't know what it looked like at home on TV, but a lot of the stuff about ready to talk about was evident. We knew it was going on. We were talking about it, in between plays, at halftime, everything else. On the ride home, the hour drive home from the Superdome, same thing. Listen, the post game, a lot of this came up, a lot of these stats came up, not all of them. So grab them all together. This was kind of the starting point for today's video. Unfortunately, it was third down inefficiency. We couldn't get off the field. We let them convert third downs at a 53% rate. We could only convert on 36% of ours. Typically in the NFL, if you're going 50 plus, or you're giving up 50 plus in third down conversions, but you're hovering under 30 or under 40, excuse me, but in those mid 30s or lower, you're in a lot of trouble. And if most of the time, you're probably on the verge of losing by multiple scores and not really in the game. That wasn't the case yesterday. And part of it is, when you start looking at every other number you can think of, and these are just like the surface numbers, not even deep diving into metrics. There's a few in here, but not many. But just at the bird's eye view, offensive plays, they had 68, we had 67. Net yards, they had 344, we had 314. Average yards per play, 5.1 for the 49ers, 4.7 for the Saints. Rushing first downs, they had 5, we had 4. Passing first downs, they had 15, we had 14. Penalty, 1 each. Possessions, both teams had 11 possessions. Average plays per drive for the 49ers, 6.9 plays, we had 6.6. Average yards per drive, they were at 28.7 yards. We were at 26.2 yards. Red zone, both teams were 100% efficient. They got in twice. They scored 2 touchdowns. We got in 3 times. We scored 3 touchdowns. All field goal attempts were outside the red zone. Groupie, start making your kicks. Rushing yards, they had 77. We had 121. We ran for a 4.0 average. They only ran for a 3.0 average. Passing yards, that's where they made up a lot in the stat column. 277. Net passing yards for them, we had 208. But completion percentage, Jones was 67%, Rattler 74%. When you do adjusted completion, 72% for Jones, 82% for Rattler. Time of possession, they had the ball 30 minutes and 45 seconds. We had the ball 29 minutes and 15 seconds. Penalties, they went 5 for 40. We went 7 for 45, but 5 of those were in the first half. Did a really good job of cleaning that crap up finally in the second half. One of the things that could keep us in the game, we had like the 5 penalties in the first half. We were -1 in turnover margin. We, again, are having some struggles with tackling, had some struggles with blocking against a team that's really good defensively, especially up front, that brings a lot of pressure. But at times, all those things were good for us at some key moments. So they added to the reason why we struggled yesterday on third down on both sides of the line of scrimmage. But it wasn't everything. Coverage was. There was no doubt about it, being there and watching the game and watching what was going on, and particularly the way they were scheming up a lot of pass plays, and they were picking on certain individuals, and we already knew the 3 names. I just had to wait till today to PFF numbers to find out how bad it was, and it was even worse than we were imagining in the stand. We were having problems keeping coverage on players out there. And they picked on Alontae Taylor, Isaac Yadam, and Pete Werner. And we knew those three names watching the game and talking about it on the ride home. But Alontae Taylor, 11 targets, 7 completions. Isaac Yadam, 7 targets, 6 completions. Pete Werner, 7 targets, 5 completions. 36 total attempts, 25 of those targets were thrown at 3 players. The next number of targets that Frisco threw at, we had 3 players tied for 3 each. Davis, McKinstry, and Reed. When you look at the overall defensive coverages of PFF grade, and what I mean by overall, every defender we had out there that was in coverage in week 1 and week 2, they give an overall grade. So the overall coverage grade for our defense in week 1 was 71.0 from PFF. Yesterday it was 57.4. I mean, we went from a B to on the verge of failing, if not actually failing. You're below that 60% mark, so you're definitely in like D territory there, right? Now, I know losing Blackman, we talked about that, and probably it'll keep coming up for a little while. That was a big part of it, but for the most part, they weren't picking on his replacement in Jonas Sanker. In fact, Sanker did some good things there yesterday. So that wasn't a concern of theirs. They knew who they were going at. They had Yadam last year. I suspect that's part of it. I think they know what a lot of Saints fans know, and mentioned it in the film breakdown, that Pete Werner is very good at some specific skill sets and not so good in some other ones. And we're burning an issue there. And Alontae Taylor, same thing. Very good at some things, not so good at others, but somehow they just continuously kept isolating some of our guys in coverage in the stuff they just don't do well over and over and over again. And it is a bit of an issue. Last thing, 4-4. And this should not happen. You had 4 times you had them 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 10 yards or plus 10 yards. A 3rd and 14, they converted with a 15-yard gain. A 3rd and 13, they converted with a penalty, a hands to the face to McKinstry. That, I don't know. But even if that wouldn't have happened, something that you can't lose sight of there is that we let Pearsall streak straight down the field and get wide ass open down there. And if Jones throws him any type of decent pass, that would have been a 60-yard plus touchdown. We have them 3rd and 10 where they get converted with 13 yards. And a really egregious one when you want to see them picking on somebody on that list of 3. 3rd and 11, 42-yard touchdown pass. That was the one to Jennings that basically broke our back. So we can get in the film review and start breaking some of this stuff down and showing you. But, I can't stress enough sitting in the dome. It wasn't that hard to pick out. So this is the one stop we had on 3rd down in the first quarter with Frisco converting 4 or 5. Now, one of them was a penalty, and that'll be the next one we do. But on this, we're showing straight cover 3. They send a little motion. Doesn't really affect us. Cover 3 up top, like we said. So we're matching up underneath. And Taylor's jumping Jennings, and that's where he's trying to get the ball into space. Pre-snap, that's on the 40 right there on the hash. That's where you're looking at space in this cover 3. So read the space, not the players, correct? Especially in these schemes that Shanahan likes to run. He's trying to move people in the ball into vacated space. And a lot of times when you are showing zone or a matchup zone, especially this early, because we're not disguising anything, any quarterback that's familiar with this, and apparently Jones is because he had a really good day on us on 3rd down, is looking to get the ball into that space. Taylor does a great job, like you said, on the matchup. He's on his hip, doesn't grab anything, and he's going in. He's in position to play the ball and knock it out of there and break it up. Fantastic job. That's the way of Brandon Staley without much disguise because pre-snap, we pretty much showed what we were doing, and that's what we ran at post-snap. Everybody held up on that play, and you force a punt. You get off the field on third down, but boy, it starts going downhill from here very, very fast. We've got them 3rd and 7 right here. Again, doing such a good job on 1st and 2nd down and forcing these 3rd and longs. I mean, 3rd and 7 or more is kind of what you're hoping for. And this is the where you should get off the field. We're kind of showing too high safety here, but now we're creeping up, sitting back, and we're matching up on the outside. We've got some man running there, a little matchup zone in the middle, it looks like. Problem here. I kid you not, I'm on the 10th row right there in front of where that play happened. Cousin is sitting next to me, and it's hard to see on any of the replays where his hands, it's not so much that he put hands on the receiver. You can clearly see his hands extend because my cousin and I both at the same time said that's PI before the flags came out. Now, I don't know if it was necessarily a hard push, hard contact. Jennings, there was a lot of slipping going on in this field all day long from both teams, and that rears its ugly head a couple of times in film review. Jennings may have slipped, may have just been a good job of acting, or the push was hard enough to actually push him down. I don't know. But anytime a player gets his hands fully extended in coverage like Adam did, and the receiver goes down, the flags are coming. And if you were sitting right there on row 10 with the fam and me, you'd have heard me and Brian say at the same time, that's PI. You just knew a flag was coming, whether it was deserved or not. Problem is, he was in good coverage. So if he keeps his arms in and makes a play on the ball, gets his hands on, look, I don't know if he breaks it up, but you're going to give yourself a much better chance than doing what he did when he was really in no danger of getting beat on that play. So yeah, I realize you got to get a little physical. There's no doubt about it. Get hands on. Just you can't extend them like you've pushed, whether you actually did or not, and you can't grab a jersey right. And from that point on, third downs really, really started getting sideways on us. 3rd and 14. Again, this is where you want them. You've done a great job on 1st and 2nd down. Now, initially, you kind of pre-snap right here showing a too high look, or maybe you're going to go to a single high, or maybe a cover 3. And we're showing pressure up front. We kind of back out of it just a little bit, and it's definitely cover 3. So Sanker's sitting underneath. Everybody's kind of matching up on the downside, and you have Reed in the handling the deep middle third, and the 2 outside thirds are your corners. Classic cover 3. And they're looking again for that space in cover 3 right around the hash. Yidam is staring inside and for just 1 second loses sight of Pearsall, but it's not a huge deal because he closes and he's right there. He just can't get to the ball. Pearsall makes the catch. A split second sooner, provided he doesn't grab a jersey or push off before the ball gets there, another chance for him to bat a ball down. And got to make that play and get off the field on 3rd down. When you have the opportunity that you were right there, try to rip that ball out, do something. On this play, while we're here, though, I will have to say, if you keep your eye on Jonas Sanker, who's on the left hash, right on the 40, he's recognizing, because this is right when the ball is coming out, and he's recognizing real quick when that ball, where it's going. And he knows it's not going to Jennings, who's in between the hashes right now, right next to him. He realizes it's going across the field. And that's a really good job of read recognition and closing. I like to see, even though he wasn't technically involved in the play, he's right there. The ball is tipped. You get like a tip drill thing going. He's right there to try to grab it. If Yada misses the tackle, it's right there to help clean it up so this doesn't turn into yards after the catch in a huge play. With Sanker being thrust out there because we lost Blackman, and as a rookie, seeing stuff like this kind of really excites me about his potential. So now we have a 3rd and 1 that they convert. They're in 21 personnel. You check their fullback lined up, and he's just lined up in the slot. and he is just now motioning back to the fullback spot. We are going very heavy in the box. A five-man front across. You've got with Taylor in the star right there, with Sanker on the left-hand side of your screen and our two linebackers. We've shoved nine basically in the box. We're running straight inside zone. Now, they're a wide zone team normally. And typically, when they do go inside zone, a lot of times they can really catch defenses off balance because initially, looks like everything's going right. Look at everybody on the second level right there, our linebackers and Sanker, all ready to fly out back to the right. Like McCaffrey's going wide on a wide zone, but it's really inside zone. Werner and Davis are coming up. There's two possible holes right there for McCaffrey to try to squirm through because you're trying to find the space whenever you're running these zone type runs. And Werner's really the kind of most dangerous man because there's no lineman to grab him. But Juszczyk does a great job of getting in there and pushing him out the way. McCaffrey slides through a little bit of space. And what could have been a minimal gain, they were still picking up the first down on that at that point. Could be a lot worse right now because now he's one-on-one with Justin Reed. And if Reed does not make this tackle, that will be a touchdown. I promise you. I know we had a lot of players kind of converging around him, but that's McCaffrey. He shakes that tackle. I'm laying odds nobody's running him down, and he's going to hit the end zone on that play. Same drive, another 3rd and 1, and this is the brilliance of Kyle Shanahan in play calling. So he gets an 8-yard run from McCaffrey. Last time he was 3rd and 1 in 21 personnel. So let's basically do it again. Not quite the same formation, no motion from Juszczyk. But we're looking run. We're selling out on the run. And we're taking everything on that sellout, which is actually a play action with a rollout. It's one of his go-to plays in situations like this, especially nearing the goal line. And this is one of the things where Brock Purdy runs these type plays awesomely, the way he fits his scheme so much. And this was my doubt going into the game where can Mac Jones do the same thing? Because not every quarterback fits his scheme and does what they need to do with the play action, with the rollout, et cetera, that's involved in this. And when I saw this play develop and it ends in a touchdown, I was like, oh crap. They've got all the eye candy, all the motions, all the rollouts, all the stuff that Purdy does. They did it here. And once this gets established, you really start putting the defense in a hole, trying to figure stuff out. Because look, we're in a situation we have two defensive backs, Alontae Taylor, who unfortunately is facing the wrong way right now, and Justin Reed trying to cover three guys to keep him out the end zone. Make matters worse, there's another slip coming into play. Like I said, this was happening all day long. I don't know what's going on with that, but we need to figure that out. Now, this is a first down no matter what. There's almost no way we were going to prevent them from picking up the first down. At this point, you're like, man, we have to keep him out the end zone. And Taylor recovers, and he's in good position to make the tackle, and he does not. This is one, we had 11 tackles on the day, or missed tackles, I'm sorry. Alontae Taylor accounted for 5 of them. This was his first one. And look, I don't know if we keep him out the end zone. If he makes a tackle right here, they're basically going to have it 1st and goal on the 5 or 6 yard line. But once he misses that, it's touchdown. Moving on to the second quarter, 3rd and 14. Once again, fantastic job on 1st and 2nd down. And this is one where we get a fantastic job on 3rd down also from Pete Werner. Nothing really exotic going on here. We are matching up on the bottom, giving a little space on the top. They're coming out and trying to screen to McCaffrey. They don't want to get too crazy on this play. Werner, I will keep repeating this. Pete Werner is a really good linebacker when you get him moving downhill towards a ball carrier. And this lineman, no shot, gets right around him. And when he gets in this position, you tackled. He is a really good tackler. And McCaffrey goes down. And this is one of the times you get off the field on 3rd down. Now, they were in field goal range, so they were not really interested in trying to push anything, obviously. But this is the type of play that they're getting some blocks downfield. Werner doesn't make that play. McCaffrey's now going to shake loose in the open field with some blockers down there, and it's McCaffrey. It's the exact same thing when we run screens to Alvin and he shakes loose downfield with some blockers. Bad things are going to happen to the defense. So great job here by Pete Werner. Pretty much they were trying to isolate him on that look on the screen, and he handled it perfectly. Again, after doing a great job on first and second down, we're going to force a 3rd and 13 right here. And again, we're going to do a really good job of getting off the field. I just don't know how much we had to do with it. A little short motion. We're showing too high safety with man underneath because it looks like we've got a 5-man front up there and we're sending extra pressure. But at the snap of the ball, we start dropping out in coverage. So we're basically matching up a zone right here. There's no real pressure here. Jones has got a clean pocket, so he's taking his shot down at the sticks. He's looking at MVS, Marquez Valdez Scantling, who we had last year here on the end, and just doesn't make a good pass. We've got a close coming in. Scantling at the last second sticks his hand up and may or may not have tipped the ball. I'm not really sure, but I think he did and got it offline just a little bit. Otherwise, basically, that ball was going to wind up in the chest of our defender. And unfortunately, it does not. We don't get the turnover right there and really good field position out of it. A 3rd and 6 with a 29-yard pass to Jennings. Playing some man because we are bringing pressure on this play, but we're the extra pass rushers really not causing any problems. Once again, they're doing a good job of giving them a clean pocket. And so now we're going to have to cover downfield, and we don't. We're trying to pass off, if you notice, at the top of the screen. They're getting out in the route. And on that pass off, we've got another slip, leaving him wide open. Jones does a good job of finding him. Sanker does a great job of coming back down and making that tackle before he shakes loose and breaks it off for a long touchdown run, yards after the catch situation. Got him with the slip in on that pass off as they're trying to handle that. Just presents the opening, clean pocket. So Jones had plenty enough time to thread that ball down to him. Great design play. It's a Shanahan special. And once again, this offense, when you get it down here in the red zone, they can be really, really efficient because they can throw a lot of things at you that are hard to deal with. At the same time, you have to realize on 3rd down, when Christian McCaffrey is on the field, first and foremost, your focus should be take McCaffrey out the play because inevitably that's who they're trying to get the ball to. Make no mistake about it. They are probably telling our defense right now up and down the line going, hey, look, it's going to McCaffrey. And defense probably going, yeah, we know. Of course it is. So when they motion McCaffrey out to this trip look to the right-hand side, there is definitely something brewing. You cannot lose sight of McCaffrey because that's where the ball is obviously going. And he is looking nowhere else. Right now, we're doing a really, really good job. And then here, we just kind of we don't really lose him. We don't really, um, it, it's not like he's extremely wide open, but just kind of lose that outside position because that's where the ball is going because it's already in the air when he's breaking out. So there's real no chance for recovery. It's a good pass, put it right on him. 3rd and 13 right here. And this is following, it was originally 3rd and 8. Crowd got real loud, got a delay of game. So now we backed it up to 3rd and 13 in a play where would have got off the field if not for an illegal use of hands penalty on McKinstry on a play that, had they made a better throw, would have been a touchdown. So this one is just kind of bizarre all the way around, but here we go. They have motion across the formation. We're setting up too high. McKinstry's coming up like he's going to press. At the snap of the ball, we're backing out, no pressure. Once again, clean pocket. McKinstry has, and I guess that's where the illegal contact or illegal hands or whatever was called because he doesn't touch anybody after this. In fact, it looked like he got slapped in the face. But what he's doing here is he's not actually matched up, just check him, slow him down, passing him off. And he's looking back towards the backfield because McCaffrey's coming out and he's going to pick him up. Now, on the pass off, the receiver, Pearsall, kind of one step fake to the inside and he's going go route. And Reed's that's Pearsall. He can move. It's a good receiver. And Reed's just a little late getting around on him, and Pearsall blows right by him. And if he gets a good pass, I don't know if Sanker was trying to get an angle on him. I don't know if Sanker can clean that up. It's definitely a long play, explosive play, impossible touchdown. Now there's a third down play that I'm not showing on film because it was a 3rd and 1, and they just tush pushed Jones for the first down, and we've all seen tush pushes and never know where to spot the ball. Probably got it. Who knows? Blah blah blah. Sorry, I just don't feel the need to break that one down. What they're looking at here is a 3rd and 6. Once again, using a little motion. Shanahan loves his motion. We're not really affected by it. So showing too high, backing off from initially was a pressure look, and it's not a pressure look. We're going straight coverage. Jones is a very clean pocket, but we're doing a good job getting this covered up. He's looking left, doesn't see anything, steps up and looks like he's going to scramble. So we kind of start breaking down on defense a little bit, but not a big deal. Everything is that he's looking at is still short of the sticks. And the tight end Tongues just kind of breaks open right there on the 30, but he's still 4 yards short of the marker. Reed does a good job coming up and is going to stop him cold right there, but misses the tackle. And as he's trying to recover, DeMario, who was in the area and reading what was going on, comes up, cleans it up, drops him right there, 2 yards short of the first down. And this basically, they took a field goal on the next play. In the fourth quarter now, 3rd and 10 for the 49ers. Short motion McCaffrey. Basically, he's still in the backfield, but he's now lining up wider and setting up kind of a trip situation over there in a matchup where they're going to get him on Pete Werner, and that is never good for the Saints when Pete Werner is matching up with Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey kind of sets him up a little bit for a move to the inside or the outside. An option route goes outside. Werner stays with him. So, I mean, it's not like McCaffrey is going to be able to get any yards after the catch right here because Werner's going to close and tackle him. But one thing you need to notice that when he got to that option point, he could have also just wheeled it up the sideline. And if he wheels it up the sideline, that's a touchdown. There's no help behind Werner, and there's no way Werner's going to be able to cover him on any type of wheel, go, up, slant, crawl, whatever, anything further downfield than that. So Frisco gets to a 3rd and 11, and I believe this is one of the plays that Shanahan used off a setup of another play, which was the last 3rd down conversion when they got McCaffrey locked up with Werner. And we're going single high and showing pressure, but we're actually only rushing forward. We're dropping out into a matchup. But what's happening here is McCaffrey starts off pretty much not quite the same formation on the previous play that we showed. And more than likely, when you're looking at what's lined up against him on the other side, if it goes any type of man or matchup zone, they're looking for Werner, right? This time they do wheel him to the outside. And now our outside corner's got to stay with McCaffrey and not give him access up the field to the sideline. And Sanker is starting to cheat over that way himself. And we're deepening up to the sticks. We're going to try to make him throw to the sticks or past them to get the first down if they want to throw it short, or if Jones scrambles out of there, we should have enough bodies with eyes on the backfield to rally up and make the tackle and prevent the first down. However, as linebackers are dropping and getting deep, you can see where the space is opening up. Jones is setting up to throw the ball right now. McCaffrey, not so much, because it's looking like he is going sideline some type of deep on his option. Jennings is moving to the big space right behind the linebackers, right in between those two safeties. And Sanker is looking more towards the deep route, which he's the safety on that side, probably should. Reed is squeezing down a little bit because you've got that receiver likely one of their tight ends sitting on the hash on the 30, kind of squeeze it over for that. For the most part, everything is looking really, really good right here until it suddenly doesn't. Because this is the point where the release is coming on the pass. He's let it go. And right now, that ball is going to slip right in that space right behind Werner. This is not necessarily a knock on Pete Werner. This is why is Werner on the field on 3rd and 10? Because if there's one thing that a team's going to try to do, and now it's 2 plays in a row, is isolate a situation. We saw earlier in the 3rd down where trying to run the screen, extended running play to him. He defends the run really, really well, sideline to sideline, especially when he can start moving downhill and he makes tackles. We start pushing him back out and allowing him to operate in space. It's a little bit of a struggle. And at times, I feel like we've got to try to run something defensively to hide him a little bit. And when you're going to run up against a Kyle Shanahan offense, and especially like it was clicking on Sunday with Mac Jones at the helm, which as surprising as that is, that's what it is. It's exactly what was happening. He's looking for this the whole way, and he makes a good throw in a spot. Why I kind of blame coaching slash scheme with Werner on there in this situation, I would rather have an extra DB or maybe one of our younger linebackers with an ability to play in space where maybe they recognize a quicker in that I got to deepen up or able to set themselves and try to at least jump up and knock that ball be down, get a hand on it, something, get yourself in the play to, and that's overall the NFL. There's a reason why there's such a thing nowadays as 3 down linebackers in the NFL and 1st and 2nd down linebackers in the NFL because offenses are getting really, really good at those guys that aren't as good in space and especially in coverage in space, isolating them, picking on them, getting in the spaces behind them, trying to stay away from dropping stuff off in front of them where they can move up, make a tackle, and their tackle is going to keep you short of the sticks. Another DB out there in his situation. Can Stallberg do this? I don't know if we'd really have another linebacker that can do this, but I think the Saints need to have a hard conversation on whether or not we want to keep Pete Werner out there on 3rd down or 3rd and long, I should say. Let me specify. You start getting to these 3rd and 10s and 3rd and 13s. Because once, especially in a play like this where they're kind of spreading everybody else out, you've got a very bad threat all the way out there on the outside with McCaffrey. If we don't check him, that's where the ball's going to go, and we're going to give up a big play and a touchdown there. Putting a couple guys in a bad position right here, and the way this play was designed on offense, the only person that can really prevent the touchdown is Pete Werner because he's got to try to find a way to break up that pass or deep it up and just keep back there with Jennings and be involved. Reed, I realize he got picked up by the blocker, but he's at that point, you're the safety. You're back there. It's your responsibility. You've got to figure out a way to get off of that guy and make the tackle to stop this from happening. We'll end it on 2 3rd and 6s. And this is the first one's inside the 5 minute mark. The second one's the next possession after that, where situation we're desperately trying to get the ball back to the offense, get them going so they can go down and score points, and we can try to come back and win the game. We're going to go single high safety on this one, showing a pressure look, and we're bringing pressure. So we're matching up man with Reed basically playing free safety over the top. We're in good shape right here, but on the break, Jennings gets a little separation from Taylor, and that's where Jones is going with the ball. And little separation just got a little wider here, but the throw in Jennings a little late, a little high. Jennings is going up to high point the ball. This allows Taylor recover and get in there and knock him down, get a hand on the ball, and break it up, thankfully. Otherwise, that'd have been another big play. And more than likely, we wouldn't have even had any inkling of a thought, much less an actual attempt to come back and try to win that game. Lastly, now we're under 3 minutes, and again in the situation, need to get the ball back in and get off the field. 3rd and 6, and we're still staying single high safety. man pressure look at everything going on underneath. McCaffrey is in the slot, backs off the line. And remember, this is the play earlier that they had gotten Warner on, or the formation, I should say, not the actual play. Kind of faking the screen attempt to him, and then nothing going on there. Trying to throw the slant behind that. That's another kind of Shanahan staple is set something up, show one thing on a pump fake to try to get something in behind it. And Terrell Burgess does a good job of staying home, doesn't get caught up in anything there, and actually had bumped a piece of Jennings that throws the timing off on this play. Ball still hits him in the hands, but he's not able to haul it in. This is one of those, if the timing is right, he's probably catching this in full stride right on him, and we're going to be in trouble yet again. Burgess, this is because ball's already coming out. He's gotten a piece of Jennings and just kind of hauled off the timing on this. So there's no hitting in stride. Jennings has got to try to lay out and catch the ball because the timing's off. He's just not quite able to. So that's film breakdown for the defense. Glad I got it out the way. And even on some of those third downs, we did some very, very good things, to be perfectly fair. But the ones we missed badly. And we've got to get over that hump. And hopefully we will, because third down was an issue last week against Arizona. It was definitely an issue yesterday. We sort of kind of got close to cleaning up the penalties. So these little things that we fix that really shouldn't be a problem anyway at this point, but they are. And it's something that's plagued us for a while. So maybe it's just taking a little more time to get it out of our system. I don't know. But keep cleaning up the penalties. But more importantly, just figure out a way to get off third down. And I really want the Saints to start reconsidering personnel that we have out there on at least third and longs. Like I mentioned, they inevitably were picking on Werner, and and I think this is a little bit of Shanahan being a really good schemer and play caller. In the case of Taylor, we know we want him on third down trying to get to the passer because he's such a good pass rusher, and them doing stuff to kind of maybe take us out of it. If that's the case, and I kind of feel like it is, we've we've got to figure out a scheme and get around that too. We need our best players on the field in the best position to what they do best to try to win football games. We've done a fairly good job of that, but we got to figure this crap out on third down. So, first time here, you like what you saw, please give me a like, a share, a subscribe. Drop them down in the comments. Again, anything you may want to see when we do offensive film review, let me know, figure it out and see if we can. Because I kind of feel offensively, there's a lot less that went wrong. I've only looked at a few. I've been spending all day on the defense. In watching the game, I felt like for the most part, things went a whole lot better overall from Arizona and overall for the game yesterday. So I'm feeling like there's going to be a lot of choice plays to look at there. So again, let me know. Also, let me know what you think about the defense and the third down conversions. And I'm not trying to bang on any players. I really, really am not at this point in the season. But I think we've got some serious concerns that the coaching staff needs to acknowledge and address. So, like I said, pop them down in the comments. Let me know what you think. We'll be doing offense in a couple of days. Should be up Wednesday, no later than Thursday. So, hoping you look forward to that because I do kind of enjoy it, especially the offense. So, till I see you next time, I'm Tim. Peace out and who dat.